Hello! Today we are at Sanger in Illinois once again, but we have a change of aircraft. We are in the Piper PA38 Tomahawk. And the reason we're in the Tomahawk is it is spectacularly good at spinning. So we are going to be looking at stalls and spins today. So without further ado, let's go and jump into the Tomahawk and get it off the ground, get it up into the air, and get it out away from the airfield in case we go and put it into the scenery somewhere. Hopefully we won't. So hopefully I'll be showing you some of the attributes of stalls and spins. This aeroplane is really good at them. So it's available from Justflight. It's not very expensive, and the flight model on it is spectacular according to pilots I know of real Tomahawks. Okay, so we're going to jump inside the aeroplane and close the door and close the handle and latch it overhead as well to make sure the doors don't come flying off as we are tumbling through the sky. We're going to remove the chocks and the tie downs and get rid of the tablet out of the way. We don't need any navigation kit, so we've got the basic radios in the aeroplane. We're going to go and put the mixture to rich, select the left fuel tank, pop the yoke off to get this ready, go and put the battery and the alternator on. We can run the fuel pump up for a few seconds. Don't need it on for very long, and we can do the same trick. Actually, I'll use my controls to do this. So 50% on the mixture. We can go and prime the engine as well. Again, I'm not sure how accurately simulated this all is, but having done that, we can go and then turn the engine over, go full rich mixture. We should have had the anti-collision light on while we did that, to be honest, but anyway. So we're going to run it up to 1000 RPM. And leave it at 1000 RPM as it warms up, and then we're going to turn a few things on around the cockpit. We're not actually going to be using air traffic services today, but we'll go and turn some of the kit on. So we've got the radio kit. Again, we're not going to be talking to anybody, we're not going to be navigating, it's just going to be visual around the airfield. So I've got the weather set to few clouds, so they shouldn't get too much in our way. Okay. So we've got a landing light which doubles as the taxi light. It's a pretty pathetic light on the front of the aeroplane, to be honest. So we're not going to worry too much about that. Oh, we've missed one of the covers. Let's go do that, otherwise that will cause us trouble. We've missed the pitot cover, there we go. Okay, so we're going to go and calibrate the altimeter. Looks like that was already good, and make sure the directional gyro is pointing the same way as the aeroplane. Okay, so head tracking on, and we'll roll out towards the runway. We'll try and avoid the person with the tractor or tow hitch, whatever you want to call it. I love that aeroplane. They do look nice, don't they? Oh, there's another Tomahawk. Okay, so I only just discovered the Sanger airfield in the simulator the other evening. I got a list of all of the custom airfields that are built into the simulator, and Sanger was among them. Or it's not really custom, but it's got some extra attention to detail. So I think it's a renowned or well-known glider field, and that's why it got improved. Okay, let's go full throttle then. So airspeed is coming up through 40 knots. And begin to rotate gently, and we're in the air. So we've got lovely analog instruments, so we can easily see our climb rate. We've got the typical 6-pack. So the Tomahawk is used all over the world as a trainer for this very reason. That it's very mechanical, very simple, easy to read everything, and it behaves very nicely. So we're doing about 75 knots, which is good for the climb out. So let's go through and do a left turn. We've got a turn coordinator over here, look. So we can play all the same games we were playing yesterday. So just coming around to north. So we're going to go north of the airfield. We're looking for about 75 knots for best climb rate, I believe. So just hold it gently. And we're going to climb our way up. So we're at 1,500 feet at the moment above sea level. Ground was at 800 feet. So 1,800 feet will be 1,000 feet above the ground. We're just holding that same sort of speed. So if we just fly a box pattern while we're doing this, something that I've noticed in this aeroplane that's easy to make a mistake with, you can bank far more. So if I go and way overlook, the wingtip on the indicator only goes as far as the marker. So you end up playing a silly game with trying to wonder whether you've gone too far already or not. So it's actually remarkably difficult in this aeroplane to do to use the turn coordinator to hit a 2-minute turn for that very reason. Or the version of it in the simulator is that way. That's how to put it. It's a shame the wingtip doesn't go beyond it, because otherwise it would be a lot easier to realise if you got it right or not. So one of the things, just while we're climbing along here, one of the things the Tomahawk is really good at, and why it's kind of renowned for advanced flight training, is side slipping. So look how far off axis we can go. So I'm going to go left rudder with some right aileron down. So look at that. How far off axis. We are roughly going the direction of that road. And if we pull the rudder back away, then the aeroplane corkscrews back. That's mad, isn't it? So we're still climbing. Let's get the climb rate back up again. Obviously side slipping killed a lot of speed then. We're also coming up 2,500 feet, so another 500 feet we'll have to start leaning out the engine as well, as we're getting up into the thin air. The reason for gaining all of this altitude obviously is to do some stalling and spinning, and we ideally want to be about 5,000 feet before we even think about spinning, especially in this aeroplane. So coming up through 3,000 feet. It's the airfield. Let's do another left turn. So we'll continue climbing as we turn. So we just fly a box pattern around the airfield, climbing and climbing as we go. So you can see we're trying to climb too fast at the moment. So leaning the engine out and the RPM is increasing. You can actually hear that happen. So the air has become thin enough that the engine isn't running well enough at full rich. So we're starting to lean it. So you can see on the lever here, the mixture has been pulled back. I can show you what happens. So if we go rich mixture, watch the RPM. Oh, it's not too pronounced yet. As we continue climbing though, that's going to get worse and worse. So we're climbing, we're almost on the edge of stalling, which is kind of prescient because we're going to be causing a stall on purpose in a moment. We'll just extend beyond the airfield a little way. Let's get the speed up, because obviously going for best climb rate really requires speed rather than pitch. So there is a trade-off there. You can go for the best pitch or the best incline, but that won't be the best climb rate, because doing a lesser incline at a faster speed will get you to a higher altitude more quickly. Okay, another left turn, and we're almost there. So we're at 4,000 feet. Then we're going to do some stalls and some spins. You have to remember as well, the higher we get, this is indicated airspeed, not ground speed. So this is an analog instrument. So the higher we get, the less speed it's going to show, so it's going to be increasingly inaccurate in relation to our actual ground speed. At these sort of altitudes it doesn't make a huge amount of difference, but obviously if we were at 25,000 feet it would make a huge difference. You know, sort of a third of our speed, or even more. Okay, we're coming up towards 5,000 feet. So while we're doing this then, let's go and pitch up to get the final bit of climb, and we'll see a stall. So we're going to hold the airplane steady, we're going to keep the wings level so both wings hopefully stall at the same time. So I'm asking for more climb rate than the airplane can do. And you can see it's starting to move around and judder, and there's the stall warning is going off. I'm easing in, I'm at maximum backstick now. So it just shows you on a calm day in the right aeroplane, if you control it nicely, we are flying level but stalling. Does that make sense? So we've got full power, but we were flying level and stalling. So let's pull the nose up again. Just gently easing backstick in, very, very carefully, not letting, oh look, one wing's gone. So that was an incipient spin. One wing went before the other. So until you enter a full spin, so if you can still recover out of the beginnings of the spin, then it's called an incipient spin. In other words, if you don't do anything different, you're going to enter a spin. So all a spin really means is one wing has stalled before the other, and then the aeroplane gets into a situation where the wings are stalled and the aeroplane's basically falling out of the sky, and it can't get out of it on its own. It won't fall out of the tumble. So we're coming through 5,000 feet. I'm going to do it now, okay? So we're going to pitch the nose up. We're going to expect one wing to go before the other. And there it goes. So if I pitch it in on purpose, with left rudder and then let go. I've let go of the controls. The aeroplane's not coming out on its own. Right rudder won't work on its own, so go full power. Full power, put enough thrust over the rudder for it to kick the aeroplane back out of the spin. So it's just opposite rudder, that's all that was required. No ailerons, no elevator, just power and the rudder. And it was kind of instructive there. Let's do a left turn and go north again. It was kind of instructive there, what happened there, that just using the rudder didn't work. It wasn't enough. In many aeroplane types, in a fully developed spin, just the rudder is enough. You'll also notice as we were diving towards the floor, I very quickly, once I'd got it to stop spinning, I pulled the throttle back, because at that point you're pointing at the floor and accelerating hard towards the floor. So we're coming back up through 4,000 feet, and we'll go do it again. Different aeroplanes will spin more easily one direction or the other because of all of the factors we talked about the other day to do with the propeller, with the P factor, and the gyroscopic precession. So yeah, and just because of the wing design, some aeroplanes are designed in such a way that they actually won't spin. And some aeroplanes are designed in such a way in the real world, certainly I've not seen it in the simulator, but some aeroplanes are unrecoverable from spins. Probably perhaps one of the most famous is the Beechcraft Baron. In the real world, it's absolutely prohibited to spin it because it can enter kind of like a flat, but a flat spin, and it's completely unrecoverable if it happens. It's just just down to a freak of the aerodynamics of the aeroplane. Okay, we're coming up towards 5,000 feet again. The airfield is right underneath our wing down there, look. So we'll just extend this way until we get to 5,000 feet. Then we'll do a left turn. So we'll be heading west again. And we'll put it into another spin. In fact, we could do the spin here and then we'll depart to the west once we've recovered. Okay, so let's lift the nose high into the sky to an unrecoverable position. Pull elevators all the way back, and left wing's gone first. And I've let go of the controls completely. Okay, so full power, right rudder. Off the power, get the nose back up before we accelerate too much. So that's really a recovery from an unusual attitude you've seen there. So you have to appraise your situation very quickly. So we're going towards the floor at full power. If we'd kept doing that, the aeroplane would have ripped itself to pieces. Okay, so beyond that, so we saw both times then from level flight, it went left wing down first in calm air. So you have to also factor in what direction the wind is coming from, because that will have a factor in which wing might fail first, or which wing fails to fly first. So if you're doing a climbing turn, for example, if we're turning right, the right wing will fail first. So if we pull up hard, and it's going to go, or is it going to? No, it's getting away with it, look. Interesting. Everything to me is interesting to do with aviation and physics and flight. So let's stabilize this. Let's circle to the left then. We're a little bit close to the airfield to be doing this, but if we go left, full power, and now it's going to tuck under. So this aeroplane likes to tuck under left. The quickest way out of this was to go underneath, so we've done exactly that. Rather than try to, depends on the roll rate of the aeroplane, but sometimes the quickest route out of an unusual attitude is just to use the elevator and to do essentially a 3D aerobatic maneuver, or three-dimensional. Yeah, so not trying to roll it, because if the roll rate isn't good enough, you're going to be pointing at the floor for a very long time. And again, that just comes of knowing the aeroplane. I can show you an example of it. So if we pull up, so it's falling. So we're going towards the floor and we think, oh, we want to go that way. Look at the speed building. That 1 second of us deciding which way round we wanted to be before we pulled out of the turn, or out of the dive, could have been catastrophic. Okay, so what about slow flight? We'll do some side slipping as well on this on the approach in a moment. So what about slow flight? What can we get away with? I want to show you that you can avoid the spin by using the rudder. So if you turn towards the direction it's about to drop, it's going to be a bit of judgment to do this. So we're nose up, look, we're flying level. We're going very slowly, we're starting to drop. I'm at maximum elevator now. Introducing more power, more and more power. One of the wings will depart soon. We're at full power. Flying level. Now if we make, just to show the point of this, if I tip the plane one way or the other, we'll get one of the wings to fail. Or fail to fly anymore. Oh, there it goes. Notice what I said. That took a long time to stop the momentum of the roll. So that was an incipient spin there. It would have entered the spin if we hadn't acted. So we just dump the nose hard before the spin develops and get some airspeed back over the wings. And that's why we delayed, why the roll was so slow, because there wasn't airflow over the wing. The wing was not flying anymore. Okay, so we're quite high over the airfield at the moment. I'm going to show you side slipping. So we'll just toodle over this way. We'll stay high, we'll stay level up here. Stay quite slow. Okay, let's turn in towards the airfield. Because the airfield gives us a very good point of reference for this to be done. Okay, so engine all the way back to idle, and we're going to drop the flaps to maximum flaps, and we're going to go maximum left rudder and then use right aileron to control our direction. So look at the speed, we're doing 70 knots thereabouts, but look how steeply we're falling without accelerating. So we're off axis by about 20 degrees on the nose. And then we can pull it out at the last moment and just stabilise our descent. Except I'm not going to touch down. We're going to pull away and accelerate away from the airfield. So the Tomahawk is fantastic for these kind of exercises. It's almost what it was designed for. So the one thing we'll do, just to finish this off today, of why you might want to do this. Say you were dead stick, for example. So by dead stick I mean we lose the engine. So we're going to climb out, turn around from the same position, I'm going to pull the mixture back and kill the engine. The one thing you'll notice straight away, which is kind of wonderful that it's simulated so well, the vacuum powered instruments will all fail when the engine fails. Because the engine is providing, its vacuum pump is making things like the directional gyro and the attitude indicator work. So without those gyros behind them spinning, the instruments will fail. So I imagine, I've not tried this for a while, I think the attitude indicator will just gently tip over, meaning we don't have it as reference anymore. Okay, so let's pretend we're going the opposite direction. We've got altitude, which is our friend. And we're just about to cut the engine, and there it goes. So the propeller will remain spinning. Yeah, so you can see the airspeed indicator is not our friend at the moment. So we're turning in towards the airfield. We're dead stick, no power. So you can see, yeah, look, the attitude indicator no longer reflects the horizon. It's gone. And we want to not run out of runway because we're high, so we can start side slipping it. We're going to keep off the flaps because they are draggy. We want to make sure we get to the runway before we deploy any sort of flaps, or just go without them. So we're doing 75 knots, look, we're quick. In which case we just hold it off the runway. It's a lovely long runway. You make these decisions, you have a strategy in your mind before you get there, so we can bleed the speed off nice and gently. And we're down. So we covered off quite a lot of stuff there. Should we go and fire the engine back up? Let's go and give it some mixture and start it again. So we covered quite a lot about the behaviour of slow speed aeroplanes there, and that sometimes you can get away with the airflow hitting the wings even at very slow speeds, meaning it won't drop a wing. But we were flying on a calm day, so we didn't have any kind of differential airflow onto the two wings. If we'd had a side wind, for example, that would have changed the game, and we would almost certainly have seen a wing drop. We saw that given the configuration of an aeroplane and the direction the propeller spins, some aeroplanes will drop the left wing or the right wing more easily. This one you saw today in these weather conditions and with the configuration of the aeroplane, with the weight in the tanks and things like that, then it was dropping the left wing much more easily, and that may have been possibly because the left wing as well was a bit heavier than the right wing, because we were using the left tank all the time. There's lots and lots that might factor into it, but as long as you've got your eyes open when it begins to happen, especially if you're planning to make it stall and spin, then it's not difficult to manage. I will be doing a video at some point on recovery from unusual attitudes. You saw a bit of that with coming out of the spins, where you kind of have to have a strategy in mind really quickly to avoid the airspeed building too fast. Because while it's spinning, it won't accelerate. That's the bizarre thing. Because the aeroplane's not pointing in a straight line, it's kind of corkscrewing and side-slipping enormously. Okay, we're just going to pull up in front of the building because, as per usual in the simulator, all of the parking spots have gone. Well, there's a couple in the middle, but never mind. Okay, so turn the lights off, turn the mags off, turn the alternator off, turn the battery off, go and turn the fuel off as well, and we're good to go. So we can obviously go and unlatch the door, unlock it, and push the door open. And there's our poor little aeroplane that's been thrown all over the sky like a tortured thing for the last half an hour. But yeah, hopefully that's been interesting for you. So that was just looking at stalls and spins really, and using the Justflight PA38 Tomahawk, which is really, really good at them. And it's really instructive. It behaves really nicely. It's quite docile. You can always get it back out of a spin with putting some thrust from the propeller over the rudder, and it will kick it back out of the spin. So there you go. I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.